we're looking at the GTS website, which yours truly is the main blogger, news writer for GTS, your new blog for social gaming or social network that deals only with gaming. Real life can just stay away, and the other social media known to be public, echo scream, or whatever you want to talk about. In here, we're talking only video games, gaming, etc. So basically, despite it is a streaming week of Cyberpunk 2077 by the time I'm recording this, but we got some news with its developer, CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red finally admits that Cyberpunk 2077 multiplayer was crap. Let's read the article in depth. While it was implicitly known that CD Projekt Red will have not have a time to develop and deploy the multiplayer mode or whole game of Cyberpunk 2077, the Polish studio finally addressed why it is not coming. Despite being one of the early plans, Cyberpunk 2077 never gained a multiplayer mode nor a standalone multiplayer game. The reason? But of course, the rocky launch and year one of the game. Now serving as the director of Project Polaris, which CD Projekt Red knows as the new Witcher game, Philip Weber acknowledged to Eurogamer that had to go away after the game's rocky launch. And I quote, "We really need to look at what were the priorities for Cyberpunk after it was launched. The priority was that the main experience will run for the people in a really good state. And essentially, the switch of priorities means that other research and development projects had to go away. With Cyberpunk, we wanted to do many things at the same time, and we needed just to really focus and say, okay, what's the important part? Yes, will we make that part really good?" And as I write it here, we don't need to further stretch that Cyberpunk 2077 is notorious not only of its lengthy marketing phase that started in 2013, but to its rocky launch because the game has so much errors and bugs that it was practically a game that was truly half-baked and cost CD Projekt so much money, and that we forced actually to arrange a compensation for stockholders that sued because they felt cheated on how the game was truly performing, while in the public side, CD Projekt Red appeared that everything was fine for the launch and Cyberpunk 2077 on December 2022, and actually that should read on December 2020. That's a typo mistake from my part. My apologies for that. Of course, the development period was always rumored to be a rocky one and started as early as 2013. But CD Projekt Red reportedly did not take things seriously until 2017, and they were forced to restart the development from scratch in that very same year. And added to the mix, Quantilab was hired as the quality assurance outsourcer company, and their lack of seriousness of their job added more fuel to the fire. Let's hope that Project Orion or the sequel spin-off of Cyberpunk 2077 can bring us more good news regarding the possibility of a multiplayer mode. And practically that was not the only news regarding CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077, as the company confirmed to its investor that a Game of the Year edition will arrive in late 2023. While actually the date was not really confirmed yet, it is, I think, common sense to guess that the Game of the Year edition will be coming by the second half of 2023, because the fact is that the Phantom Liberty, the only expansion that the game will win, is actually bound for early this year, probably in spring. So it doesn't make any sense to really launch a new improved edition of, or like a Game of the Year edition, which it's not that Cyberpunk is competing for the game edition of the Game Award or anything like that. Lately, many publishers and developers had taken the self-entitlements, if you will, to call a good or a definite edition of their game as the Game of the Year edition. So CD Projekt Red basically just follows suit as they did with all the Witcher's games, including the 1, 2, and 3 Valheim. After they managed to amaze all the content post-launch of each game, they'll launch a new version called Game of the Year Edition with all their content. And of course, in the case of Cyberpunk 2077, will include all the patches and the Phantom Liberty expansion. So yeah, pretty much 2023 will be the last year of Cyberpunk 2077 gaining content. I hope that CD Projekt Red might have some surprises on 2023. But only one can hope, right?